Hey everyone, my name is Corey, and today we're going to be looking at the color curves effect inside of Gimp. So this is part of my little series on the open source workflow for photography stuff. So a little disclaimer, the reason people use Photoshop is because professional photographers are getting the results that they want. So in general, Photoshop is a better program, they have better algorithms, and the outcome is nicer. But again, that's not to say that you can't get similar effects in other programs. So we're using Gimp. I know a lot of photographers that will laugh at you for using Gimp, but that's fine. That's just fine. So we're going to take a look at an image here. I don't really think this really needs too much, but we're going to use this as an example to show things that we can actually do inside of Gimp using the color curves option. So let's go ahead and get started. I've dragged in my image here of just a fire. So this was just someone creating a raft out of just burning the wood inside, which is pretty cool. So the color curves option is under colors and curves. So we have levels and color balance and all this other stuff that is again really important, but specifically I don't think that I want to mess with the color levels. So we'll go ahead and look at the color curves. Alright, so you've probably seen this before. This is the standard channel map. You have your RGB and you can go in and select specific ones. So let's say that we want to make the fire a little bit more red. So that's where the very high reds are. So what I'm saying here is if we look at this graph here, this is going to be the input, this x-axis, and the output is the y-axis. So for example, if we take this and we just drag it down, that means we're saying that the input being the lighter reds is going to be an output of darker. So in this case, we get a darker looking. The reds are darker, which comes out to be green. And this graph here, right here, is the distribution of reds. So we have more dark reds than we do light reds. What I went ahead and did is I went ahead and clicked on a part of the image. I clicked on this red part here, and that is the actual the reddest red. So that's the fire itself, and so this is really up to you. So they have the curve type being smooth and freehand. I don't know why you would ever want to use freehand. It seems like madness. Like, actually, that's not terrible, to be honest, but yeah, it's pretty bad. So we're going to go ahead and use the smooth tool. Oh, it gives me already options. Okay, so things we can do. So if we want to bump the darkest reds, remember, this is the input on the x-axis, and this is the output on the y-axis. So bumping the dark reds, making them brighter, would do something like this. And you'll see the background changed more than the fire itself. So if we reset that, the fire looks the same. That's again because the fire, if we click again, is on the lighter side. So if we want to bump the whites up a little bit, and what we can do is create another point. And you create points just by clicking on the curve itself. So if I want to bump the output, not too much. Maybe move this up a little bit, but we want to keep the integrity kind of the same. So let's move that down a little bit. Move this up like so. Alright, so that looks pretty good. The effect that I want to achieve here is I want to keep the background kind of tinted blue, and I want to make sure this fire kind of pops. So that's bumping these red channels here, and I think overall we can just bump the reds just a bit. So that's the red channel, and so what else we can do is we can go to like the green and the blue channel, and we can mess with those too. So again, if we click somewhere like in the middle of this fire, you'll see this is where the greens are in this red. So let's go ahead and bump that and see what happens. Okay, so we're bumping the entire image. We don't necessarily want to do that, so let's bring it down a bit. Okay, we lose a bit of the green there. Okay, the reds are starting to pop. Alright. Let's go ahead and take a point here and maybe move it down. Ooh, no. Down just to add. Okay, so we have that. That looks pretty good. And then again, we can go to blues and let's see, the background blue. This area here. Okay. So again, this is really just playing around with, what kind of effect you want to achieve, how you want your photo to look. We have a more like, the white balance looks like it's off in that section right there. So let's go ahead and bump the blues, but we want to make sure the background is the output just a little bit bluer. So like that. So we'll go ahead and bump the brightest blues down as well. Not like that. Okay, that's interesting because the smoke is a different level of blue. So, it's a little bit too much blue in my opinion. What if we bring it down here? No, it's too yellow. Okay, so I actually like this, and again, this is totally up to you, based on whatever kind of photo you're editing, what kind of color you're dealing with, and how you want it to turn out. Okay, and we go back to color and curves, you'll see that everything's been reset. So as soon as you hit OK, that becomes the norm. So just keep that in mind when you're editing. You can always Control Z, etc. So guys, hopefully that was a simple tutorial for you. I hope you enjoyed it. This has been Corey from the Techies.